Hey, AA2. Welcome to week 4. This is your how-to guide this for the week. So basically speaking, I decided to just do 2 quizzes assignments instead of having you guys do 1 quizzes assignment and having to do graphing on your own. I realized that graphing piecewise is really hard unless you can do it with graph paper by hand and not necessarily on the computer. So I'm cutting you guys a break. I just want you guys to be able to look at a graph that's given to you and be able to answer questions. Okay, so you're going to be asked a couple different types of questions, and you just got to be able to kind of maneuver through it. So you're going to have 2 different types of quizzes. You're going to have one that's 14 questions like the one pictured here. Now answers and questions will be shuffled, so whatever I go over, they will be available when you do this, but just remember, like, question one's probably not going to be your question one when you take it. But it's still free answers as long as you kind of take the time to watch this and learn a little bit. So you don't have a video to watch this week for a lesson. This is just kind of extending what you've already been doing and kind of reviewing a little bit of what you've done. So there's going to be another quizzes that's 12 questions, and this one's 14 questions. So the one that's 12 questions is pretty straightforward. But I want to make sure I kind of cover a couple things just using this as an example, like some of these as an example. I'm going to zoom in here. So what you see here is what we call a continuous piecewise. And there are so many pieces to this. So there's 1, 2, 3 pieces. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4 if they count that change in direction. So that's kind of what we're talking about here piecewise. It's like how many pieces are there in this one particular graph that we can see. And this is called continuous because there are no open circles. If there was an open circle, that'd be discontinuous. And that kind of has a little bit of an effect on your domain and range. So if you get a question about domain and range, if it's continuous, it goes on and on forever from negative infinity to infinity. But if it's discontinuous, then it's going to have that gap at whatever location it's at. So not very many questions will be talking about that or how many pieces, but it will pop up either on this one or the other quizzes. So I just want you to be aware of that. So now we're going to have different types of questions. The first type that's the most popular is just something like this. Evaluate f of 2. What this means is that 2 is your x. So remember, your x-axis is here, your y-axis is here. So we're focusing on x being 2, and our answer is whatever the y is of that on that graph. So if I go to f of 2, right here, I go to x2, I go up to where the graph is, it's at 5. That's what I would select because that's where the y is at. So basically, it's like, here's your input x, your output is your y. That's your answer in this case and how it's being read. Okay, so that's one type of question you're going to see. The other type of question is something like this. Find the x or x's, that's what this means, if y is 0. So it's going backwards. You're going to look at the y-axis of 0. This is the y equaling 0 here. And you're just going to go look and see what your x's are. So in this case, the x's happen to be 2 numbers. That's why this is labeled like that. So you just answer the one that has the 2 answers. Okay, remember, these are going to be shuffled. So, I mean, these answers will be available, but you just got to make sure you're not thinking that this is going to be question number 3 necessarily, because all your questions and your answers will get shuffled. So just be aware. Don't be just randomly guessing. You can do this without just mental math and looking at things like that. Okay. Other type of thing you're going to see is something like this, just to evaluate. So basically, you're going to go find out what number f of 0 is. So I go and my x-axis is 0. I have a 7. Okay, so I've got 7. Let me see if I can get a pencil or something. Yeah. Okay, so I've got 7. And then f of negative 3 looks to me like it is, I can't zoom in. Oops. F of negative 3 is at 5. So I would do 7 plus 5, which you guys can definitely figure that out from the answers given, okay? So there's that. Let me see if there's anything else. That's kind of weird. Multiplication, that's the same. This one's kind of like called a composition again. So basically you start from the inside and work your way out. So whatever f of 3 is, you get that number, and then that becomes your next function. So f of blah, blah, blah. Whatever that is will be your final answer. So, and then there's just some handy dandy review. You will get a little bit of a mixed review like this as well, like where you're plugging in the X wherever it fits. So remember to pay attention to the solid lines underneath. That's important. That means it's including that. And also remember the way that it's facing. So this is saying X is greater than or equal to 4. This is saying X is less than 4. So we know X is definitely bigger than 4, so we would be plugging in here and solving. I think that should be it. Hopefully it'll be a pretty easy, straightforward mixed review. You guys can always ask me questions, but otherwise, good luck. Get these done. You are allowed 2 attempts. So have at it. Thank you.